Good afternoon. This is KTN Newsdesk, the first Tuesday after Easter. My name is Boni Tunya, and this is news as it happens.
My name is Edith Kimani. Thank you for making time to be with us. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the program. The government expects to attract investment in the energy sector during President Uhuru Kenyatta's 3-day visit to Qatar.
Uhuru is expected to meet Qatar Energy Minister Mohammed Saleh Al Sadr to discuss on ambitious medium-term strategies that will see Kenya generate over 5,000 megawatts of electricity by 2016 while reducing the cost of power.
Now, other engagements on the president's itinerary while in Doha include meetings with leading figures in Qatar's private sector to discuss various avenues of cooperation between the two countries. The president is also expected to meet His Highness the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and senior government officials to engage on security matters.
Uhuru is accompanied by First Lady Margaret Kenyatta and cabinet secretaries including Ambassador Amina Mohammed of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Davis Chirchir of Energy, Engineer Michael Kamau of Transport, Henry Rotich of the National Treasury, and Aidan Mohammed of the Ministry of Industrialization. Let's now have a look at what's happening elsewhere, and we take you to Marsabit. And that county was almost brought to its knees after a series of inter-ethnic conflicts last year. However, the county is slowly being rebuilt. The county government yesterday embarked on an effort to woo investors, the first of forthcoming efforts to restore Marsabit. KTN's Dorcas Wangira brings you that report.
This is the county of Marsabit as we saw it when inter-ethnic clashes broke out last year. So dire was the conflict that the national government nearly disbanded the Marsabit county government. However, reprieve came for the county in February with the Boma Declaration. This deal, brokered by former National Assembly Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo and Garissa County Senator Yusuf Haji, brought Marsabit leaders together and came up with measures to bring lasting peace to the area. A month after the peace deal, Marsabit is slowly rising from the ashes. The governor, Ambassador Ukur Yatani, notes that the issue of insecurity is becoming a thing of the past.
Na shida ya usalama, kwa bahati ya Mungu, kwa masikizano ya viongozi na wananchi, sasa hiyo tunasema ni mambo ya kale.
To solve the inter-ethnic conflict that has long plagued the area, community leaders will be tasked with reconciliation.
Na nitasaidiwa na kazi na wazee kama wazee 10 kutoka kila jamii ambao tunashauriana kila wakati ili tuelezane sasa tunaelekea namna gani, kuna shida upande gani, tutapatanisha watu wetu namna gani ili tuendelee pamoja.
The county government will also aid the police to provide security in the vast county.
Tutajenga hata police post ili mambo ya mawasiliano hasa barabara iwe nzuri zaidi.
As the reconstruction of the county begins, wooing investors remains the county government's biggest priority. In a forum with investors and business leaders held at a Nairobi hotel, the county government promoted Marsabit as a prime area of opportunity. The governor urged investors and residents to go back to Marsabit for business.
Tuwapate imani ya kufanya kazi na biashara usiku na mchana.
Key areas of investment include the livestock industry. Marsabit has the highest goat, goats, and camel population by county in Kenya. There exists opportunities in livestock marketing. Tourism also has such high potential, with the county being home to historic sites, countless wildlife species, and 4 major national parks. As the forum came to a close, the governor insisted that lasting peace solutions would only come from the people.
These are things that we are working on, and I'm confident that we are on the right path.
Dorcas Wangira, KTN.
It is the first Tuesday of business, and it is also the first Tuesday that Parliament reconvenes after recess that gave them time to go and enjoy the Easter celebrations. Now, a lot is on their table, and Ben Kitili joins us now live from Parliament buildings. Ben, what's on their plate today?
Yes, indeed, Bonnie. A lot is on the Parliament's tray. That is the National Assembly, as they get back to work today in about 1.5 hours' time after that 10-day Easter break. And what is top priority is the debate on the division of revenue bill. This is a very important bill, bearing in mind that the country is just preparing for the next financial year. That is the 2014-2015 financial year. And that is the bill, that is a piece of legislation which will decide how the amount, how the revenue that is collected by the national government is divided. Remember, Parliament, both houses will be bearing in mind the debate that has been ongoing for the last 12 months. That is the debate of the ballooning public wage bill, which has been standing at around $500 billion Kenya shillings. Rather, $500 billion Kenya shillings. That is around 500 billion Kenya shillings. That is 52% of the total revenue. That is something that will be playing at the back of the minds of members of Parliament, both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, and that is the division of revenue bill. That is the top priority as the National Assembly comes back to work today. And remember, the Senate is on a 46-day break, and they will be recalled to be able to debate this particular bill when it is forwarded to them. They'll also be able to initiate another bill, that is the county allocation of revenue bill, that is set to give stipulation on what specific amounts goes to each of the 47 counties. Those two bills have already underwent the first reading stage at the Senate. That was just before the Senate went on break. Also listed today on the order paper at the National Assembly is the Public Procurement and Disposal Amendment Bill that has been sponsored by TNN nominated Member of Parliament Johnson Sakaja. This is another key bill for the Jubilee administration in particular. This is a bill that anchors in law that directive by President Uhuru Kenyatta that 30% of all government tenders should go to the youth. That is a bill that will seek to give the way forward on that. Bonnie.
Ben, very quickly, during the break, we saw a lot of conversations around the issue of cutting down the wage bill. We saw a lot of conferences in Mombasa. Do we expect these conversations to weigh in on this debate?
Well, Bonnie, we shall wait to see what will be happening. It is something that, of course, the Jubilee government, members of Parliament allied to the Jubilee coalition have been speaking very strongly about. So obviously, they will be doing all they can. We're hoping to use their numerical advantage in the National Assembly to be able to push this forward. But we also saw another side of the debate from the minority coalition in Parliament, that is CORD coalition, also criticizing the Jubilee administration's way of going about this, reducing the public wage bill. So the seesaw effect will be seen. Kenyans will be hoping that the two sides of government will be able to agree on this very important issue. Bonnie.
Very well. Many thanks, Ben Kitili, coming to us via phone from Parliament buildings, where we expect this afternoon Parliament to reconvene with the all-important subject of revenue sharing. As and when that debate starts, we'll be able to relay that to you. Edith?
Let's now take you to a place called Kimumu. It's a village in Nyeri, and residents there are mourning the death of an 104-year-old grandmother who was gang raped and killed by unknown men. It is reported that Kezia Wanjiko, a mother of 4 and a grandmother to 63, was attacked at her home just before retiring to bed. Neighbors say that they did not hear any kind of disturbance on the fateful night as it was raining heavily. It is early morning the next day that neighbors and her children, who lived just less than 500 meters from her home, noticed her house had been broken into. They then found her body lying in a pool of blood next to her bed. Residents lamented that such attacks had been rampant in the area and asked police to begin patrols around the villages.
Ya security. Kwa sababu wamama ni wengi wamewachwa wajane, wengine watoto yao wameenda mahali bali, na wamama wamebaki manyumbani. Kwa hivyo tunakaa na uoga tukijua ya kwamba jambo lolote inaweza kutokea.
Also, police in Kagumo area of Murang'a County are looking for a man who is suspected to be growing and selling bhang in his farm. Police netted more than 5 kilograms of ready-made bhang, but the suspect managed to escape. More than 200 stems were also uprooted after the police raided a farm. And as KTN's Habiba Ali now reports, the suspect's wife and father are in police custody.
The police raided the farm of one Martin Dungu after a tip-off from a member of the public. The 31-year-old suspect has since disappeared and is alleged to have been in the business of growing and trading banks for a long time. The County Commissioner, Kula Hachi, with the help of other officers and members of the public, managed to uproot more than 200 stems of banks at the garden. She promised the members of the public that serious action will also be taken against errant officers who collude with criminals. Speaking during the operation, Kahubu Member of County Assembly Eric Kamande called upon youths to stop engaging themselves in criminal activities and instead form groups to benefit from youth and Uwezo funds. The police are holding the suspect's wife and his father, who were arrested in the soup, and are helping the police with investigations. Habiba Ali, KTN.
Junior national administrators are set to benefit from government funding to facilitate their operations in fighting crime. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku says a proposal by the ministry to facilitate mobility and other operations by the administrators is in its final stages of approval by the government. He said the new constitution has given the junior administrators more sophisticated roles in enhancing security in the country, therefore making them more mobile and interactive with the senior security organs. Lenku, who addressed national administrators from Kisumu and Siaya counties this morning, said chiefs, assistant chiefs, and also assistant county commissioners are at the advantaged proximity with the public and will be empowered to facilitate their work in the fight against crime.
We know foreign individuals are now getting out of Nairobi because of the pressure and the heat exerted on the issuance of this travel and identification document. But we want also to send a strong warning that Kisumu, like any other part of the country, will not become a safe haven for acquisition of those documents. And therefore, I call upon all of you, the regional commissioner, the county commissioners, all of us, officers in charge of National Registration Bureau and Immigration, and an administration that is able to take care of the security of this country.
Let's go to the neighboring troubled country of South Sudan, and the United Nations is projecting that the world's most devastating famine in decades will hit South Sudan if urgent measures are not taken to avert the situation. The South Sudanese would need to work harder on their farms before annual rains come in May if the world's youngest nation is to avoid a hunger disaster. However, hope is diminishing by the day as thousands of farmers have fled their farms to avoid violence, with 3 states with the biggest food production capacity being the worst hit.
The United Nations mission in South Sudan has painted a grim picture of the already dire food crisis in the country. The UN says the coming 2 months will be crucial and will require an injection of $230 million, the equivalent of over 20 billion Kenya shillings of international aid. Similar sentiments have been echoed by the UN agency heads at both the World Food Programme and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
Because of the conflict, we're now in a situation where we're airdropping food to get to people so that they have food that they haven't had access to for the last several months during the conflict period.
The world's youngest nation has continued to bear the brunt of violence following an insurgency mounted by former Vice President Riek Machar against President Salva Kiir's government. The violence has meant that food production has been dangerously low as tens of thousands of farmers have fled the violence, fleeing from their farms in the process.
We have already 250,000 refugees that were in exile for 20 years, came back, and that again in Uganda, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, and in Sudan. And if peace does not come soon, we risk that they lose hope.
According to UN estimates, a third of the country of 11 million people faces starvation. South Sudan's problems have been made more difficult by the constant conflict. After what turned out to be temporary peace, there was a sharp resurgence in the fighting in December 2013. With no signs of an end to the violence that has since taken a tribal direction between the Nuer and Dinka people, South Sudan has quickly descended from being a new promising nation back to bloodshed, and now on the brink of famine. The World Food Programme has already started sourcing for food drops by air. And with the onset of the rainy season, transportation becomes a nightmare due to the poor road network. and this could be a big challenge to reaching the most vulnerable. Ben Kiteli, KTN.
Well, those are the pictures coming from South Sudan, where the United Nations is saying if the May rains fail, then the country could be facing hunger and famine, and it's our responsibility to see how we can help.
Now, this story, together with others that are happening internationally, can be found on our website, www.standardmedia.co.ke. Let's now take a short commercial break, though. When we come back,
David Moyes is out.
David Moyes is out. We'll be right back. Welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. We're glad you're still watching. Let's now have a look at what's happening in Naivasha with Bonnie Tunya.
That's right. Song and dance filled the air at the Naivasha GK prison when 200 inmates who subscribed to the Seventh-day Adventist Church were baptized and sought forgiveness from above for crimes that led them to be behind bars. Here's KTN's Naiga Otieno.
Smiles, song and dance. This a different picture from the thick walls and dark holes seemingly devoid of life and the metal bars that lock behind. Those who may enter may not offer much hope for a better life, yet this home to hundreds of inmates convicted of various crimes. The Naivasha GK prison found God, or God found them. The inmates were dipped into the water, and when they came out, their sins were figuratively washed away.
We have been told that those who gave themselves to Christ and were baptized have become better in behavior at the prisons.
The inmates who are adherents of the Seventh-day Adventist Church received the Holy Communion in an event that also coincided with the graduation of 100 chaplains from the prison's department. The chaplains had undergone a 2 weeks vigorous training that was facilitated by the SDA of Baltimore in the US and King's Messengers of East and Central Africa. They began the cooperation in 2009 and it has since bared fruits. Even as they ask for forgiveness from a higher power, the inmates are in need of a fresh start and are asking the community to embrace them back when they finish serving their term. Naiga Otieno, KTN.
Right, from that matter of forgiveness, let's go to business. As always, it's fast and painless. Predominant non-tariff barriers, inadequate infrastructure, connectivity and insecurity are among the hard-hitting challenges that face the region as efforts towards regional integration continue to gather speed. Now, this was said during the presentation of a draft strategy and policy that will see Kenya efficiently maximize opportunity that exists in the East African Community region. It is believed that the regional integration strategy will, among other benefits, facilitate market access and expansion of investment opportunities for the private sector. The Ministry of East African Affairs affirms that the policy provides framework and laws that enhance coherent coordination and negotiation of trade and investment opportunities in the region in Kenya's interest.
The strategy and policy will provide the country with the benefits of increased access to larger markets for trade and investments, low cost of doing business, improvements in infrastructure development, and regional connectivity and the free movement of factors of production. It will also go beyond economics to include politics, peace and security, culture and diplomacy.
The High Court has upheld the Capital Markets Authority's decision to lock out time-barred bids for the takeover of Rea Vipingo. The move essentially locks out Vania Limited, which had the highest bid of 80 shillings a share for the takeover. Now, this leaves the door open for Rea Trading and Investment firm Centum to dog it down on their own, the firm. Of interest to bidders is Rea Vipingo's vast land holdings of more than 70,000 acres in Kenya, Tanzania. Centum offered 75 shillings a share for the company and intends to keep the company listed at the bourse, while Area Trading bid at 70 shillings a share.
From the business, let's have a look at what's happening globally. And for months now, California has suffered from a historic drought. The lack of water is worrying for farmers and ranchers alike. But for gold prospectors, it's a stroke of good fortune. With water levels low, normally inaccessible areas are exposed, creating favorable conditions for panning the rivers.
And lots of resilience coming there. I mean, it's barely a year since the tragic events of Boston Marathon, and they're back. But back to the Moyes story.
Why are you so excited by this?
In my view, the Glazier family, the club owners, it was more like euthanasia. They were helping the guy. He's gone through so much misery.
Do you realize this is the best conversation to have with anyone but me, because I don't care about sports and football in particular, and I dare say Manchester United tops that list of my non-worries.
All right, just know that some really important guy, David Moyes, is out. Great. Let's bring in what our viewers think. And Caleb Chauro says, the handle is at Chauro, says at Bonichunya at Edith Kimani, dialogue brings peace. Congratulations to Turkana County people for making up their minds. I think you're referring to the story of rebuilding Marsabit that we highlighted a little earlier on. Caleb, you can read that particular story again on the website. That is www.standardmedia.co.ke.
It's now time for a Did You Know fact. Did you know, first of all, that there was a revolution that transformed Brazil into a republic? Did you know that there was? Apparently there was. Right. And it was so uneventful that even the few witnesses who were present didn't know that it was happening. They didn't even realize it was a revolution.
So the revolution wasn't televised.
Yeah, and the dethroned emperor didn't care. He was like, oh, you've dethroned me.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
cool.
Good.
All right. That's your Did You Know fact for today. We hope you enjoy the bulletin. Do keep your views coming on at KTN Kenya or at KTN Newsdesk. My name is Edith Kimani. Good afternoon.
My name is Boni Shunya. I'll see you again with a look at how the markets opened today, Tuesday, the first day of the week. Stay tuned.